Hi, it's Ms. Shorben again, and we're doing lesson 17, Heredity Questions and Answers. And we are starting on page 93, and we're going through page 95. Remember, you can pause and rewind and fast forward anytime you want. And yes, I'm on a train. That's why it might sound a little different. I also think the microphone helps with the volume levels. A lot of you told me that I don't speak loud enough on the video, so hopefully this will help. All right, so directions. For each question, write your answers in spaces provided. What is heredity? Well, heredity is the passing of traits from one generation to the next. Number two, what kind of reproduction could you infer from a population of identical individuals? Well, they're asking what kind is it? We know in sexual reproduction, like us, all of everybody's unique and different, and with things that are identical, it's usually asexual reproduction. So, is this correct answer? No way. It's definitely asexual reproduction. Would be one from a population of all identical individuals. Okay. Next one, a hydra. Remember this? I showed you what a hydra was. There's a hydra. Is an animal that reproduces by forming a bud, like right here, that eventually splits off and becomes an offspring with the same genetic makeup as its parent. This sexual or asexual reproduction? Well, the clues were that it has the same genetic makeup and it buds. And in the video for the guide instruction for this, we did talk a lot about this. So this little thing right here, just like it starts growing off its mother, and then boop, buds off and becomes an identical to that. So it's definitely asexual reproduction. It has the same genetic makeup as its parents. Which reminds me, the secret word for this lesson is hydra. Number 4. Why are the offspring that result from sexual reproduction different from their parents? Well, let's think about this. Why do some parts of you look like your mom? Why do some parts look like your dad? You have two parents, and their chromosomes come from each sex cell, combine, and create different pairs of chromosomes. Oops. Pause. Okay, so the answer I put is that the offspring from sexual reproduction get genetic material from each of the two parents, so the offspring have a unique combination of genes. All right, number 5, describe an advantage of asexual reproduction. One advantage is that organisms can reproduce even if they cannot mate. Another advantage that you could have wrote is that it happens quickly, they reproduce quickly. It's very helpful in asexual reproduction. It doesn't use that much energy because you don't have to find the mate. It can happen when you're ready, when you have enough energy to, and we've matured enough. It's a lot easier than sexual reproduction. But a disadvantage of asexual reproduction is that everybody's the same. Everyone's identical, so only mutations can cause variation. Okay, now for some questions using a diagram. So questions 6 through 9. For each question, write your answer in the spaces provided. Base your answer on questions 6 through 9 on the paragraph and illustrations below. Alright, so we see a strawberry plant, we see a runner, maybe we'll learn what that is. We see a starfish, we see some pieces missing, and then we see an arrow, and we see a new starfish, and we see an arrow to another starfish. Alright. Strawberries and starfish are both capable of asexual reproduction. Strawberries send out special stems called runners. Like right here. See that? The runner? Send out special stems called runners that grow into new strawberry plants. These plants can survive on their own once they grow roots. Okay. Starfish can reproduce asexually by losing one or more arms that then develop into a new starfish. Oh. Okay, so both of this is asexual. That's what right up here, asexual reproduction. All right, they develop a new starfish, but they grow to an adult, and large arm must contain a portion of the central part of the starfish. The original starfish can also replace its lost arms. Interesting. Are the starfish and its offspring genetically identical? Explain your answer. Well, was there two parents? Was there evidence of sexual reproduction? No, they must be identical. Even in the picture, you have a smaller and larger. That could be because of when it happened or the amount that was lost. But yes, they're identical because the starfish reproduces asexually. All right, number 7. Can the offspring of the strawberry in the picture survive if separated from the parent? Well, how do we know if it's going to survive? Well, right here we see that this plant has roots, right? This plant does not. And here, they said they grow on their own once they have roots. So since this one doesn't have roots, it can't grow on its own. So no, the offspring in the picture cannot survive on their own. They have not yet grown roots. Number 8. People who harvest oysters are annoyed that the starfish preyed upon the oysters, meaning they ate the oysters. Therefore, whenever they have found a starfish, the oyster harvesters cut each starfish into 4 pieces and threw the buckets back into the water. Pieces back in the water. Was this a good idea? Explain. Well, what did we just learn about the starfish? It can lose arms and still regrow. So even if it cut up the starfish, it could still grow into a new starfish and have offspring. So it probably just multiplied the starfish. So no, this was a really bad idea because each piece could grow into a new starfish. How many complete adult starfish would result in the picture above? Explain your answer. So 3. All right, so let's look at this first before we go on explaining. We have the starfish, right? And it lost a portion. It had part of the central portion of the starfish in there, right? And this one had part of the central portion. And we see right here, even if we didn't really understand what they were saying, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 2 new adults, which might be a trick answer, but we know this one can grow back and be another starfish. So 3. The original starfish will replace its lost limbs, and the 2 lost limbs will grow into 2 new starfish. Okay, now for our multiple choice portion. What is unique about asexual reproduction? Well, the offspring has new combination genes. No, only if there's a mutation. 2, the offspring has genes identical to the parent. Yes, that's true. And it's different than asexual reproduction, so that must be what they mean by unique. 3, the allele split down in the middle. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. And the offspring reproduce from seeds. Nope. So it is 2. 11. Which organism can have exactly the same genes as its parents? A dog? Well, a dog has a mom and a dad. A shark also has a mom and dad. A human? We have moms and dads. A starfish? We just read about that. It has asexual reproduction. How can a strawberry plant reproduce? By losing an arm? Strawberry plants don't have an arm. Dividing into 2? Pretty sure if I divide a strawberry plant in 2, it's just going to die. Only sexually. It can reproduce asexually, but it can also grow that special stem called a runner. So even though it can reproduce sexually, it's not only sexually. So 4, it can grow a special stem. 3, a large colony, meaning a lot of bacteria, has grown from a single individual that landed on a kitchen cutting board. What do you know about all the individuals in the colony? So it all started from 1 bacteria on that cutting board. They came from the refrigerator. We don't know that. It could have came straight from the grocery store, came from someone coughing on the cutting board. They reproduce sexually. Bacteria don't reproduce sexually. They have the same genes. Since bacteria reproduce asexually, do you remember they grow in 1 cell and then they divide into 2? Whoop. They're going to have the same genes. And 4, they have different traits. We don't know that. Even though they reproduce asexually, we know that it can be genetic variation, which could give them different traits. But they most likely have all the same traits. So different traits doesn't work. Alright. 14. A wolf receives genes from each of its parents. How many of its genes come from its mother? Alright. So If it receives from each of its parents, how many come from its mother? Well, 50%. All of its genes, no. Half of its genes, yes. Most of its genes, no. None of its genes, really, I don't know. Alright, 15. Plants that have inherited genes from parents grown from. Plants have inherited genes from two parents when they are grown from seeds. Alright, so seeds are like the little embryo of a plant. Alright, 16. Which of these provides an advantage for sexual reproduction over asexual reproduction? So why is sexual reproduction sometimes better than asexual reproduction? The offspring are genetically identical to the parent. We're not genetically identical to the parent. We're sexual, made from sexual reproduction. Traits come from only one parent. That's what asexual does not advantage this sexual has over asexual. Organisms that can reproduce sexually are also capable of reproducing asexually. Not always true. For a greater variety of offspring produced, yeah. That means that we have a greater chance of surviving if someone has a gene that is adapted to a certain type of environment and it changes that environment. Alright, so pause.